The Aurors continued their search through Knockturn Alley. Knockturn Alley was a dark and muddy area. There was a legend that a man once had his feet exposed to the Knockturn Alley streets due to his boot being old and ragged. This resulted in him growing 10 boils that spoke on the soles of his toes. Auror Johnson was deeply aware of the legends of Knockturn Alley, and her disgust for the town was displayed in her distasteful expression as she walked past prostitutes and drug dealers selling spiked butterbeer puffs. Spiked butterbeer puffs were rolled in a cigar shape and spiked with an unknown potion said to give the witch or wizard extreme euphoria. Or Hemmings says to Auror Johnson, "How are you holding up?" She looks at Auror Hemmings and says, "Fine. I just hope we find the bastard. It saddens me to know that wizard life feels almost meaningless. Sometimes I wonder what all the bloodshed was for at Hogwarts. Is Voldemort's death something that only led to greater bloodshed and destabilization throughout the wizarding world? Or did it really mean something?" Auror Hemmings says, "Johnson, how can you say that? These men are petty thieves compared to the unbridled power of he who must not be named." "Maybe," Auror Johnson says skeptically. Then a quick flash of purple lightning hits a storefront near the two Aurors, and they immediately dive for cover. Auror Johnson hides behind a horseless carriage on the left, and Auror Hemmings goes behind a store and looks for a line of sight. He peeks out for a look. Boom! A pink spark hits the wall, nearly smashing his skull. Auror Hemmings returns to the wall, dodging from the possible attack. Auror Hemmings has a quick chuckle and says, "Auror Johnson, someone must really want us dead." Auror Johnson says, "Obviously, we are not making a good impression. Let's give our host a gift." The Aurors leap out from their cover and create a quick maneuver and cast a dual disarming charm. They both shout, "Expelliarmus!" The spell ceased to be fired. The Aurors walk toward the person making the shots, and Auror Hemmings says in a happy voice, "Oh wow, it's an elf." Auror Johnson says, "We need to arrest him and take him into the Ministry of Magic for questioning." Auror Hemmings says, "What if we don't arrest him at the moment, but we question him right here to discover his his motives? I know it's risky, but we can charm, set a charm to his body, freeze him, and maybe we can interrogate him. And I can read his mind to make sure that he's telling the truth." Auror Johnson says, "Good idea," and casts Lapis on the elf, and he freezes. Elves in the wizarding world are frail creatures, many of whom are subjected to live as servants to wizards due to the conflict between the races of wizards and elves that occurred centuries before. The elf opens his large brown eyes in terror and begins to cry. Auror Johnson says in an exclamatory tone, "I forgot to allow him to speak." She then casts Desir, and the elf screams, "Ah! Master, save me! The evil Auror bastards got me, Master!" Auror Johnson tells him to shut his mouth, or she'll shut his mouth again and bring him right to the ministry. The elf steadies himself. The elf continues to scream. "Ah!" The elf states in a panicked voice while laying on the cold ground, "What will Master think when Lester does not bring back Auror heads? What will Master do to Lester when he finds out Lester is in Azkaban? Lester's weak compared to my strong master. Lester, let Lester go back to the master. Lester's sorry. Or Hemmings says, "Oh, pity you, Lester. You should have thought about Azkaban before casting a decapacitate charm at my head." Or Johnson looked at Or Hemmings in shock. "Relax. Take a breath, and I'll interrogate him." He begins to mutter under his breath. The elf begins to become even more nervous and looks at Or Johnson and says, "Get that wizard away from Lester." Or Johnson, with concern in her eyes, says, "Lester, my partner, he's filled with hate for elves and enjoys taking their lives." Or Hemmings in the background playing with his wand. Or Johnson says in a quiet tone, "He's practicing to cast the Cruciatus curse in your small body. Lester, if you answer my questions, maybe we will allow you to be free." Lester says, "Oh no, no, Master will hurt Lester, but Master will not kill Lester." Or says empathetically, "Lester, wouldn't Master be so sad if you're not alive?" Lester says, trying to convince himself, Yes, Master would be very sad. Master needs someone to make him breakfast in the morning. Yes, breakfast. Master needs Lester." Or Johnson says in a soothing tone, "Lester, why did you cast spells at us?" Lester says weakly, "Master hates the ministry and his operation." Or Johnson asks, "Who's your master?" Lester's eyes begin to trail off, and Or Johnson calls over Hemmings. "Or Hemmings, can you come here for a second?" Lester says quietly, No. Master's name is Wigglesworth. Wigglesworth." Or Johnson asks Hemmings to see if he's telling the truth, and he nods. The Aurors grab Lester, and Lester begins to cry and shout uncontrollably. Or Hemmings says, "We need to take Lester to the ministry." Wigglesworth, despite his name, was a cruel wizard who kidnapped witches and wizards and used them as test subjects for his magical experiments. He has evaded the ministry's grasp for 10 years.